You ever forget someone's name literally seconds after hearing it, or just feel like, you're not a fast learner? Yeah, we've all been there. We tell ourselves this story that our intelligence, our memory, our focus, it's all fixed. But what if that whole story is a lie? Today, we're going to break down the core ideas from Jim Kwik's Limitless, and we're going to show you that your brain's potential isn't some destination you arrive at, it's a direction you head in. We're not just dissecting a book here, we're trying to rewrite your brain's operating system. So let's dive in. So this is Jim Kwik. As a kid, he had a pretty serious head injury that left him with major learning challenges. But you know what? The physical injury wasn't even the worst part. It was the label he was given, the boy with the broken brain. Can you even imagine that frustration? Feeling like the world is moving at a speed you just can't keep up with? That label, it wasn't just a nickname. It became the lens he saw himself through, and it colored every single thing he did for years. And that really brings us right to you. We all have a version of that story, don't we? I mean, that one bad grade in math that somehow convinced you you're bad with numbers, or that one time you messed up a speech and decided you're not a good speaker. So here's the big question. Is that limit you feel, is it actually real? Or is it just some old story you've been carrying around for way too long? Okay, this right here is the absolute foundation of becoming limitless. It's got nothing to do with upgrading your brain's hardware. It's all about uninstalling the faulty software, the beliefs you hold. Your mindset, well, it's like an invisible wall that dictates exactly what you think you're capable of. Now, this distinction is so simple, but it is the foundation for all growth. A fixed mindset just says, hey, I am what I am. It sees failure as the final verdict on your ability. But a growth mindset, it sees your ability as a muscle. It believes you can get stronger with training, and it treats failure not as the end of the road, but as super valuable data for your next try. Jim Kwik has this powerful acronym for these beliefs, L.I.E.s, which stands for Limited Ideas Entertained. When you say something like, I have a terrible memory, your brain hears that as an order and basically stops trying to prove you wrong. And here's the tough part to swallow, just like Kwik says. If you fight for your limitations, you get to keep them. So the very first step is to stop fighting for what you can't do. But here's the thing. This isn't just an internal battle. Oh no. We are living in an age where there are all these external forces actively working against our brains. There is a war being waged for our most precious resource, and that's our focus. Kwik argues we're facing this constant assault from what he calls the four digital villains. We're drowning in a digital deluge of just endless content. Our focus is completely shattered by digital distraction from 1,000 notifications an hour. We rely on digital deduction, just letting algorithms and influencers do our thinking for us. And maybe worst of all, we're suffering from digital dementia, where we're actively making our minds weaker by outsourcing our memory. This quote, man, it's a real wake-up call. I mean, think about it. How many phone numbers do you actually know by heart anymore? How often do you get somewhere without using a GPS? By letting our devices remember everything, the part of our brain responsible for memory, the hippocampus, it literally gets less exercise. It gets weaker, it can shrink, just like any other muscle you decide to stop using. And you know what we do? We pour gasoline on this fire with the myth of multitasking. Let's just be crystal clear. Multitasking isn't real. It's an illusion. What you're actually doing is called task switching, and it is incredibly inefficient. Every single time you switch from that report you're writing to an email and back again, your brain pays this mental tax. It's a switching cost that just drains your focus, invites mistakes, and leaves you feeling completely exhausted at the end of the day. Okay, so if our own L.I.E.s are the cage we're in, and the digital world is this constant attack, how in the world do we fight back? How do we actually reclaim our focus and unlock our brain's potential? Well, Kwik proposes this simple, really elegant framework. It's not a single trick. It's an entire engine for learning and growth. And this is it, the Limitless Model. Mindset is your belief about what's possible, motivation is your why, and methods are the how. So many people fail because they jump straight to the methods, a new app, a speed reading course, without a solid mindset or motivation. It's like trying to learn Spanish. Your method might be language app, but if your mindset is, I'm just bad at languages, and your motivation is some vague, it would be nice to know, you are going to quit in a week. Your methods are totally useless without the other two. And motivation isn't some mystical force you have to wait around for. Kwik gives us a formula to actually engineer it. Motivation equals purpose times energy times small, simple steps. Now notice it's multiplication, not addition. That's huge. If any one of those is zero, your motivation is zero. You need a clear purpose, a real deep reason why this matters to you. You need physical energy, because you can't have brain energy without body energy. And you need small, simple steps. Big, giant goals paralyze us. Tiny, achievable steps build unstoppable momentum. Okay, so now that we've got the right mindset and we've figured out how to engineer our motivation, we can finally talk about the methods. These are the practical, hands-on tools you can start using right now to learn faster and remember more. So here it is, the fundamental shift. Your brain doesn't learn through boring, rote memorization. It learns by connecting new information to stuff you already know. The real secret to a supercharged memory is creativity, not just brute force. It's all about association. Let's make this really concrete. Say you need to remember milk, bread, and to call your parents. Instead of just repeating that list over and over, create absurd images. Picture a huge waterfall of milk just flooding your living room couch. See a tower of bread slices stacked so high on your dining room table that it's about to fall over. And there's a giant old-school telephone ringing like crazy in the corner. See, our brains are wired to remember things that are emotional, unusual, and visual. The weirder you make it, the better it sticks. And if you want to take this a step further, you can use an ancient technique called the Method of Loci, or the Memory Palace. It's simple. You just take a place you know really well, like your own home, and you mentally place the things you want to remember along a path you'd normally walk. To recall them, you just take a mental walk through your house. The same exact principle applies to learning from a book. Passive reading is when you just let your eyes drift across the page, kind of hoping something sticks. But active reading is a conversation. You ask questions, you challenge the ideas, and most importantly, when you finish a chapter, you close the book and you try to explain the main points out loud, in your own words. That act of retrieving and rephrasing, that's what moves information from your short-term to your long-term memory. At the end of the day, these tools aren't just about passing a test or remembering a shopping list. They're about shifting your entire identity. It's about seeing learning not as something you did back in school, but as a fundamental part of who you are right now. In a world that is changing so fast, the person who can learn, unlearn, and relearn is the one who's going to thrive. And like Kwik says, if knowledge is power, then learning is your superpower. It's not a chore, it is the ultimate advantage. So how do you make this a real part of your life? Well, you've got to be endlessly curious, like a little kid. Start asking why again. Surround yourself with people who actually inspire you to grow. Block out time in your calendar specifically for learning, and then protect that time like it's the most important meeting of your week. And finally, you have to embrace the discomfort of being a beginner. That's where all the growth happens. So as we wrap this up, I'm going to leave you with this one question. What's the one L.I.E., the one limited idea entertained that you've been telling yourself? What is that old story about not being smart enough, or fast enough, or good enough? And what new belief will you choose to install in its place? Starting right now.
That wraps up today's review. If you enjoyed it, make sure to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. See you next time.